Alright, welcome everyone to PAFR's Division 1. Sorry for the delays and confusion as it was a bit hectic in the commentary box, but we're finally here. 5.5 minutes left to go in this Division 1 qualifying session for round 2 here at Saudi Arabia. And well, you can already see how the session is shaping up. Currently we have Felix on provisional pole position with a 1 minute 27.8, which is 1 second faster than his closest competitor, who is Midis Mela. Obviously PAFR Luke DNF'd from the session, so he will not be competing for pole position. But yeah, Felix doing very, very nicely for himself in this session so far. 9/10 ahead of the Williams of Mela. So really not too much competition there up at the top. But yeah, like I was saying, Felix doing quite nicely for himself so far in this session. But there's still plenty of time to go. We have 4 minutes left in the session. You can see Felix is actually so confident in his time that I think he's just retired in the pit lane. Because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think it said he was out on a lap. And yeah, you can see he is just retired there in the pit lane. So that is going to be his session over. He's confident that that time can get him pole position in this session. And obviously his closest rivals are almost a second behind, with FaZe Pantera and Anti all over 1 second behind. So yeah, he's just retired from the session there quite early on in this short qualifying session. And yeah, that was an amazing time from Felix. Sadly, we didn't get to see it, but we're going to be able to see these final few lap times of the session. You can see a couple of drivers on laps. It looks like Muffin is actually on a lap. It says he set a purple sector too. This game is known for having a bug where it just says you set purple sectors even though you haven't. But you can see now he's coming into the final turn now to end off what will be his actual first lap time of the session. He wasn't able to get a banker in for the entire 18 minutes, but he's getting it in at this final part of the session. So let's see what kind of time is it going to be from the Aston Martin driver. It's a 1 minute 28.4, and he has actually put himself on the front row with his first lap time of the session, which is 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go. So he's left it very late. Hiccup has actually gone P4 for AlphaTauri with a 28.6, just 1/10 off of PAFR Luke, but he's not going to have enough time to set another lap in this session. You can see a couple of drivers are on their out laps. We're trying to find one to ride on board with. I think we're going to ride on board with FaZe Pantera for his final lap time of the session, and hopefully we'll get a full lap of this Saudi Arabian circuit. So you can see a nice wide line to get himself the best exit out of the final turn to begin his final lap time of the session. So across the line now to begin the lap. And let's see, it's a long run down into turn 1, a heavy braking zone, as you really need to get the car turned in for this chicane. And you can see didn't ride as much curb at turn 2 as he maybe would have liked to, but now on the run into turn 3 and 4, and you can see he's actually gone a bit deep there, and that's caused him to invalidate his lap time. So that is going to be his qualifying session over, as he is not going to have, well, actually might have enough time to get to the line, but his tyres are going to be quite worn, so it'll be question marks as to whether he'll be able to improve or not. It looks like the Williams now of Anta is on a lap. His best time so far is a 29 flat. You can see it's a very nice line there through that high-speed chicane, which there are plenty of at this Jeddah circuit. You can see that's a retirement there. That's Bigger Smalls in the Aston Martin. He's actually retired. I think he's retired on track there. I'm not sure. As you can see, coming out of the final turn, no, maybe he's actually retired in the pit lane. Really not too sure with that one, but you can see Anta continuing on with his lap time, and he's now into the middle sector. And you can see this high-speed chicane gets close to the wall as you like, but he just carried too much speed through there, caused him to cut the second apex of the chicane, and that is going to be his lap time over. You can see Mella, his teammate now, starting a lap time, and his final lap time of the session, 30 seconds to go. So anyone who doesn't cross the line in the next 30 seconds will not be able to set another lap in this section. But you can see into the first chicane now. He's taking that quite nicely, and now on the run, I think this is actually turn 4 and 5. You really want to cut this first curb, which he doesn't do as much as he maybe would have liked to. And you can see that's a retirement there. That's, well, I think it was a Red Bull, I'm not too sure. But that would have been PAFR Luke, who's already been out of the session for quite some time, so maybe it was his teammate Adam Kev. But you can see it's a purple sector 1, although I'm not sure if I believe that from Mella, as he now comes into the next high-speed chicane. We saw an invalidation here from Anta. Are we going to see the same from the second Williams? No, we're not. He takes that very nicely, actually, using the max width of the track there to gain himself as much time as possible. You can see this very long back straight with the DRS wide open. We now come into the final sector. He's 4 tenths up on his time, so this is quite a big improvement from the Williams driver, and he's just got one more corner to go before he finishes off this lap time. It'll be interesting to see where it will put him right now. If he continues to improve by 4 tenths, it will put him on the front row. You can see out of the final turn, it was a decent exit out of there, and across the line. What kind of time is it going to be from the Williams driver? It's a 28.1. It's close to Felix time. It's 3 tenths off, but it's not going to be enough for pole position. It is enough for front row though, and I'm sure he'll be decently happy with that one. You can see the Alfa Romeo of Wales finishing off their final lap time of the session, and it's going to be interesting to see where it puts them. The best time so far was a 29.7. Can they improve? No, it doesn't look like they can. It's a 29.9, 1.5 tenths down on his original time there, and he's not going to improve in this session. Is Verdex Spectre on a lap? No, he's not. He's on a 153 right now, so he will not be setting another lap time. So it looks like the Alfa Romeo driver of Felix will be taking pole position for this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Mella will be taking P2 on the front row with a 28.1, 3 tenths off of Felix. Muffin will be starting P3, another 3 tenths off, so you can see quite a wide field spread closer to the top. But then we get further back to the midfield and the likes of Face Pantera, and just a tenth behind him. I think that was about 4 cars separated by just 1/10 of a second. So we could see a bit of a decent fight there in the midfield. Only time will tell though. So there you go. There are your final timing sheets. Obviously, Felix on pole position, and Mella will be starting alongside him on the front row of the grid. Muffin starts P3 for Aston Martin with Luke alongside him on the second row. On the third row, we have Hickett and FaZe Pantera, the Simo and Hervina right behind them. And you can see, yeah, it's just a tenth between P6 and P9. Then we have Verdex Spectre on the fifth row. On the sixth, Vigga Smalls and Happy Kilmore. Adam Kev and Whale on the 7th, Freestyler and Big Boy on the 8th, and then Veer and Charlie will be starting from the back row of the grid. I don't think Charlie actually got a proper representative time there in the end, and maybe not Whale either. So, yeah, that is going to be the end of this qualifying session, and we're going to be jumping straight into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix for round 2 of this PAFR Championship. So as you can see, we're now arriving at the track for race day here in PAFR, and it's going to be interesting strategy-wise. Obviously, the strategy at most tracks is a medium-hard or a hard-medium, depending on which you'd prefer to start on. But we could see some two-stoppers, maybe even a one-stop from soft to mediums or soft to hards if they're feeling that they can go for an aggressive strategy. Maybe they're running higher wings to reduce the tyre wear. We'll have to see as the drivers are on the grid getting ready to start the formation lap. And yeah, hopefully it should be an exciting race. But obviously this is my first time commentating on Div 1, so I have absolutely no clue how this race is going to go. But no matter how it goes, hopefully it is an exciting one. Obviously in PAFR, the drivers have to wait for the message to actually ready up once they're on the grid, so that everyone can get their setups adjusted for the race, turn down their tyre pressures, and make sure maybe turn down their front wing as well to gain them a little bit of top speed on the straights, as that would be crucial for overtaking, especially at a track like this with 3 DRS zones and plenty of overtaking opportunities. But yeah, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see for the drivers to be ready to get this race started. As you can see, someone's ready up there, so it will be just 30 more seconds until this race starts. So you can now see the drivers starting their formation lap, and you can see the grid as they were from qualifying just moments ago. And yeah, it's going to be interesting when we're going to take a look at the tyre strategy from everyone to see what they've gone with. And as I get it up here, you can see Felix is actually starting on the hard compounded tyres, along with a couple of other drivers, Servina in P8, Vertex, Figus Smalls and Happy Gilmore from 10 to P12, and then the 2 McLarens, a Big Boy and Charlie, both starting on the hards as well. Whale starting on the soft compound of tyres in P14, so he might be going for a more aggressive strategy. But obviously everyone on the hards will be looking to try and get that overcut and be a lot stronger towards the end of the race when the fuel loads are low, and they'll have the softer compound of tyres compared to everyone else who will be on the harder compound of tyres. But Felix, who starts on the hard, is going to be under a lot of pressure from the drivers behind. You can see Mela, Muffin, Luke, Hickett, Face Pantera and Simo all starting on the medium compound of tyres. So they're going to be a lot quicker after the race starts. So Felix really needs to make sure that he secures a good start. But if I'm not mistaken, there's a bit of a glitch where the formation lap doesn't actually work. You can drive around, heat up your tyres as much as you like, but at the end of the day you will be starting on 70-degree tyres. So everyone just needs to be a little more cautious on the first lap, as they're not going to have a lot of grip going into the turns, and they're not going to have much traction either, as their rears are going to be just as cold as the fronts. So there you saw the predicted pit stop strategy. I think it was actually either a medium hard or a soft medium hard. I think if anyone will be going for the 2-stop today, it will be a soft medium soft. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Safety cars could really help people on the softer compound of tyres, like the mediums. If a safety car comes out around lap 11, they can box for the hards, which will take them to the end of the race. So an early safety car will obviously benefit anyone who's looking to box a little earlier, and anyone who's on the hards will maybe be hoping for a bit of a later safety car to gain them that time under a pit stop. You can see a couple of people missing their mark on the grid stop. I think that was 3 people disqualified on the formation lap, but you can see we have a terrible camera angle for this race start. The lights out and away we go. And what kind of start is it for our poleman Felix? It looks like a decent one up against Mela at least. Luke is diving up the inside of Felix, and Luke has just gone from P4 to P1 in just 2 turns, so that has been a perfect race start from him. We have yellow flags already as there's carnage in the background. I think that's Adam Kev who's fallen all the way to the back. Veer has shot up from P17 to P12. The Simo has had a spin in the first sector. Whale has moved all the way up to P8 on his soft compound of tyres. But the big one today is PAFR Luke moving from P4 to P1 in just 2 turns, and it's been a great race start for him. You can see the position changes here. Luke has got some great pace on those mediums right out of the gates compared to Felix, and I think one of the other glitches is that sometimes you will have your tyres heated up to what you got them on the formation lap, and sometimes they just reset to cold. So maybe Luke was lucky enough to get warm tyres off of the race start, but even if he didn't, he's had a great race start to get himself up into P1, and he's now already broken the DRS to Felix. Mela has actually fallen down to P4 and lost DRS to the top 3. You can see Whale has followed his way all the way up to P5 as he now goes around the outside of Hervina into the final turn. You can see the grip difference between the hards and the softs, and he has absolutely flown up the grid all the way from P14 to P5 now, and under no pressure at all from the cars behind because of the soft compound tyres grip. You can see Muffin just overtook Hervina there into turn 1 down the inside, moves himself up into P6, but he has still lost 3 positions off of the race start, falling all the way from P3 on the grid. You can see the field spread at the top, as it wasn't qualifying, is still quite wide. They've all lost DRS to each other already, apart from Mela staying in the DRS of Pantera, which will be enabled on lap 3. So you can see Muffin now looking to the inside of Whale, and even though Whale has those soft compound tyres compared to Mela's medium, or Muffin's mediums I should say, he was still able to make that move stick and trying to fight his way back to where he started in qualifying. You can see that's a yellow flag in the middle sector. That's for the Red Bull of Adam Kev, and for the Aston Martin of Figure Smalls falling all the way down to P15. So you can see not a couple of people not having the best starts. Figure Smalls has had a spin or two. Hickut falls all the way down to P16. The Simo falls all the way down to P17. And Adam Kev falls all the way down to the back of the grid. You can see Mela and FaZe Pantera have now caught up to the back of Felix on the hard compound of tyres. He's trying to catch up to PAFR Luke ahead of him, and we could have a 4-man fight for the win here, but we'll have to see as Mela actually sets a fast lap. No, it goes to Muffin now with a 1 minute 32.2 on that last lap. So Muffin I should say, is absolutely flying so far. Was able to overtake Whale and is now trying to catch up to the back of Mela ahead of him, and yeah, you can see there's not a lot of DRS trains going on here. There is one from P9 to P12, almost to P14, but you can see that's a spin there from Happy Kilmore. He was obviously under pressure from Veer behind him, and he now falls all the way down to P14. Hopefully doesn't have wing damage, as that would compromise him that bit more. You can see Wales tyres are already dropping off on just lap 3 of this race. They've lost DRS to Muffin, and now he's had a spin out of that turn, so you can see how quickly the soft compound tyres drop off, and he's now fallen all the way to the back of the grid because of that, and yeah, pretty much out of contention for whatever he was going for that top 6. But you can see there's been a collision there between the Alpine and the Aston Martin, battling it out. Happy Kilmore obviously had that spin and was put further back on the grid. He's now lost his front wing. He might have made someone else lose his front wing. Yeah, I think that's Hickett, who's completely lost his front wing too. You can see no grip going into this turn, and from that helicopter shot you can see that he has no front wing, and neither does the Alpine. You can see the Aston Martin now with Figure Smalls looking to the outside, but meanwhile that's happening, so is Face Pantera looking to the inside of Felix into turn 1, and he gets that move done on the medium compound of tires compared to Felix's hards. He was able to get that done quite nicely. Now Mella is going to try and get ahead of Felix, and they are now going to push on to try and catch up to PAFR Luke ahead of them. But you can see Luke has actually pulled out a very nice gap. 2.3 seconds is the gap between P2 and P1, as there's yellow flags up and down the field. You can see a lot of drivers making a lot of mistakes this race so far. One driver who hasn't made many mistakes is Veer, who's moved all the way from P17 on the grid to P8. His teammate doing quite nicely, although he has got himself a 3-second time penalty. And Charlie moves from P18, the very back of the grid, to P10. So you can see all these guys in the midfield have had a pretty good start for themselves, along with FaZe Pantera and PAFR Luke all moving up from their original starting positions and not making many mistakes. You can see Pantera is faster than Felix behind, and Luke is faster than Pantera ahead. But that is now a yellow flag because we have, just looking here, we have a full course safety car. It's not a VSE, it's a safety car. And this is going to be interesting strategy-wise. Is anyone going to come into the pit lane for a set of hard compound tyres, which could take them to the end of the race, but they would be very worn at the end. They could bank on another safety car. We'll have to see. Riding aboard with Luke, he doesn't come in. Pantera comes in. Does Mella, he fakes the pit lane. Muffin comes in. Antec coming to the pit lane now. Is he going to come in? So far we have 2 drivers coming in. No. Antec doesn't come in. Vertex, no. Veer, yes, Veer does come in. Freestar doesn't follow him in. He doesn't want to double stack. But let's see what tyres these guys are going on to. As we check here, it looks like yeah, FaZe Pantera and Muffin have both gone on to the hard compound of tyres. And let's see if Veer and Figa do the same, and will they be looking to go to the end of the race? I think it's definitely possible on the hard compound tyres. You can see Figa actually went on to the medium compound tyres. That's because he started on the hards, which means he was not able to go to another set of hards. You only get one set of hards for a race weekend. But you can see PAFR Luke hasn't taken this opportunity, and I think that's a bit of a mistake. You can see FaZe Pantera coming out in P9 just ahead of his teammate and behind the 2 McLarens. And I think that's a big mistake from Luke, Mella and Anta, unless they're banking on another safety car. But seeing as how spread out the field was after just a few laps, we might not see many battles, which would definitely decrease the chance of a safety car. So obviously FaZe Pantera gaining about 20 seconds on Luke, maybe a little less because of how far behind he is, but he does gain at least 18 seconds or 17 seconds. So he's gained a lot of time basically on PAFR Luke. He now has to make up all of that time, which is going to be very difficult. He's going to have to really show his pace for the rest of the race. We'll have to see if he can do just that. You can see a couple of people still catching up to the safety car. Figure Smalls catching up to the safety car in P13 after making that pit stop onto a fresh set of mediums. The Simho actually made a pit stop too. He's gone on to the fresh set of hard tyres, which he will most likely take until the end of the race, unless, of course, there's another safety car in this race. Happy Gilmore just behind him. I think he actually boxed for mediums as well, so a lot of people towards the back, that's because they have boxed. Veer has actually come into the pit lane again. I'm not too sure why that is. He's coming in for a set of... no, he's coming in for a new front wing, so obviously he made a mistake on his outlap. He's now come in for a new front wing, and this game doesn't just let you come in for repairs, it forces you to put on a new set of tyres. So that has really messed up Veer's strategy by getting wing damage. So he's now on the mediums and he's back to square one, but he's all the way back to P16. So he was on a good strategy, but obviously breaking your wing under safety car conditions, he can only really blame himself, as no one got any 5-second time penalties, so I don't think he actually made contact with anyone else. Obviously, he was just pushing a bit hard on cold, hard compound tyres, even though it was safety car conditions. So, it's going to be annoying for him to be all the way back in P16 and still have a stop to make in this race. He's going to have to push on and try to recover from that. And you can see Adam Kev and Whale both came into pit lane as well. Whale was obviously on the soft, he's gone on to mediums, which obviously can't make it to the end, and Adam Kev's on hard, which he can take the end of the race. So interesting strategies from the back of the grid. That's obviously because of how much wing damage everyone was getting because of all their mistakes and spins and contact with other drivers. But safety car is now coming in this lap, and PFR Luke will be leading the grid for the safety car restart. And you can see getting his tyres up to the perfect temperature so that he can get a good exit out of the final turn. You can see Felix leaving a decent gap between himself and Luke, and that's because obviously Luke has to slow down and control the pace while the safety car makes its way back to the pit lane. So we're going to ride on board now with PAFR Luke to see when he picks his time to go for this safety car restart. And it'll be interesting to see. Most likely going to take a very wide line into here. No, he actually takes quite a tight line, maybe trying to throw off Felix Bein. But you can see restarter has gotten a 5-second time penalty for collision with Vertex, and he's now up to 8 seconds time penalties. Hopefully he doesn't have wing damage from that. You can see Mella hasn't gotten a very good restart behind Felix, and is already outside of a second. So once the DRS is enabled, that's going to put Mella on the back foot. She needs to, or they need to push quite hard now to get back within that 1 second, and they've done just that. And the teammate behind Anta needs to do the same to get back in the DRS of Mella ahead of him. And you can see Luke has now broken the DRS to Felix, so you can see a lot of drivers pushing quite hard to break the DRS to the drivers behind before it's enabled. And you can see this is now Vertex looking to the inside, can't commit to that move, he's on hards, and the driver ahead, Anta, is on mediums. Anta taking a wide line there to get the best exit. Vertex looking for an opportunity to overtake, and you see he's not finding one. He's getting very close to the back of him, trying to find any way past. Looks to the inside, the outside, anywhere to go, but still has not found a way past. You can see he's using the overtake button to try and find a way past here on this long back straight, using the slipstream. You can see Anta, I should say, has defended that quite nicely and just followed the racing lines to defend the inside line of each apex. And you can see onto the straight now, Vertex is absolutely burning the ERS to try and get past here. It'll be interesting to see if it's worth it, as it doesn't look like Ant is actually giving up this position. He stays in the inside for this final turn. You can see Vertex gets a great exit, squeezes around the outside and gets a better exit, but Ant is fighting this really hard, which probably isn't the best decision, as the goal for Ant and Vertex is going to be to try and catch the guys ahead. And if they start battling this much, you can see they're now 3.5 seconds behind. And because they've done that, this is now the position that they're battling for. They won't be battling for a podium. They'll just be battling for P4 instead of trying to work together and catch up to the top three. But maybe Vertex just had the pace. He's on hards compared to Ant's mediums. But maybe it's at that stage where the hards are starting to phase in quite nicely and are actually faster than the medium compound tyres. You can see Muffin, who made that stop under the safety car, is now looking to the inside of Verbena, 4-lap older hard compound tyres. You can see Muffin really pushing him out of the way there, and as they battle side by side through this next section into the high-speed chicane, you can see Verbena has to back out of that one, as it would have not gone down too well for himself. And you can see now Ant has actually almost lost the DRS to Vertex, has gone back into it, and the DRS will be enabled on this lap if I'm not mistaken. So he will be able to try and hang on to that, as it definitely looks like Vertex has the pace, but he's not faster than Mella ahead. So he's actually losing time to Mella. So yeah, these guys are definitely now battling it out for P4 in this race. And And obviously Freestyler got that 5-second time penalty under safety car, which he now has to serve in the pit lane, and that is going to lose him quite a bit of time for this battle for P4. But it will actually bring Charlie closer to the battle, who is on the hard tires and the overcut strategy. So you can see he actually makes contact with the wall there. Really check for wing damage. I'm not sure if he got it, but that was well, it felt like a pretty heavy collision, and you can see he's really understeering through this section. That's his 5th gear for that right-hander, and he might well have wing damage. You can see Face Pantera has to actually go off track because of how slow Charlie is going, so I think Charlie definitely has wing damage. You can see the grip difference. I'm not sure if that's because of his front wing or the tyre difference, as Pantera has 4-lap pressure tyres than Charlie. And you can see coming into here, this will be a good tell. I don't think he actually has wing damage, so he's keeping up with Freestar, but Freestar is losing DRS and he's losing DRS to Vertex ahead, so you can see a lot of drivers struggling for pace in this midfield. FaZe Pantera is getting quite close to the back of Charlie, and we'll definitely be looking for a way past. You can see the understeer going into there for Charlie, and Pantera has now put it up into overtake and looks to the outside for this final turn of lap 9. And will he be able to make this mistake? A late braking from FaZe Pantera, who just has that grip of the fresher tyres and gets past Charlie for P7 in this race. Is now going to be pushing on, and you can see the gap to the leader is 9.8 seconds. So maybe the strategy won't work out for FaZe Pantera, because if everything stays like this, which obviously won't, FaZe Pantera will be losing more time to be stuck in traffic. But if Luke were to box now, because he will be boxing quite soon, but if he boxes now, he will come out about 12 seconds behind FaZe Pantera and at the very back of the grid. But that doesn't matter, because a safety car has now been released, and at the time it didn't seem like the best decision for Luke, Mela and Freestyler. But now that the safety car has come out once again, they were obviously banking on that, so they played the strategy quite nicely. Obviously it was a bit of a risk to take, and I didn't think it would work out for them, but it has, and now they are going to get a free pit stop under the safety car, which will put FaZe Pantera and Muffin on the back foot. It also allows all of the hard compound tires to make hard compound tire runners to make their stop in this race. So Felix will go on to mediums, and he'll be on fresh tires and the softer compounded tires, so he is definitely a shout for the race win. The one thing that FaZe Pantera and Muffin will have is the track position, but we'll have to see where does PAFR Luke come out to the rest of the field. So you can see into the pit lane we go for the hard compound of tyres. Does he get held? No, he does not. He manages to get out. Anta gets himself a 5-second time penalty there for speeding in the pit lane. That's a rookie error from the Williams driver, who was looking to get a P4, possibly even a podium in this race. You can see 5 drivers who boxed under the safety car, and PAFR Luke coming out just behind them. So these are the 5 drivers that boxed under the first safety car. FaZe Pantera, Muffin, Figga Smalls, the Simo and Hickut all boxed for hards. Actually, Figga boxed for the mediums. So he will have to make another stop in this race. We'll have to see when he makes it. But yeah, obviously FaZe Pantera and Muffin have the track position, but they have 7-lap older tyres actually than PAFR Luke and Felix behind. And Felix actually has the mediums as well, so there's Vertex and Hervina, FRL Charlie and Big Boy all on the medium compound tyres. So they're going to have the grip that they need compared to the drivers ahead of them. And I think a good shout for the race win right now is going to be Felix, unless of course there's another safety car which would switch it up even more. But Felix has the freshest tyres, is the lead medium runner apart from Figgy Smalls, but he is on 6-lap old medium compound tyres. So Felix is going to have a lot more pace, he's going to have a lot more temperature for the safety car restart, and he could be looking good for this race win. We'll have to see, as we're just waiting for a few more drivers to catch up to the safety car, which will be staying out for one more lap time. So that gives us a little bit of downtime to just take a look at where everyone has filtered out after these two safety cars. So you can see now Face Pantera is obviously in P1, 6 positions up from his starting position, so he's doing quite nicely for himself, but he's not on the ideal strategy like Felix is, who started on the hard, but the safety cars really saved all those hard car winners. Muffin up one position, but I don't really expect him to hold that. He's probably going to fall down from his original starting position. Big Smalls up quite a few, but he's got a box again in this race. The Simo up 3 positions, but he is going to be overtaken quite easily from people like PAFR, Luke, Felix, Mela, maybe even Verdex and Ant and Hervina. We'll have to see. Hickut in P5 getting very close to the back there of Simo, and you can see almost going side by side under the safety car, but he's got himself let's see how many seconds of time penalties, 3 seconds of time penalties, so he will not really be battling for a podium position, because that 3-second time penalty is going to drop him back quite a few positions. PFR Luke in P6 and looking to battle for the race win along with Felix in P7, Mela in P8, Verdex in P9. Obviously he started at P10 and he's now looking to challenge for possibly a top 5, as he is on fresh mediums if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he is. So Anta in P10 got that 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Bit of a rookie error, and his chance of a top 5 is now down the drain. Hervina in P11 on the mediums could look to do quite nicely for himself. Obviously, he's on the ideal strategy, so maybe Mercedes could get a decent result out of this. Freestyler with that 3-second time penalty. He obviously served his other 5-second time penalty in the pit lane when he put on the hard compound tyres. FRL Charlie in P13 on the mediums. Veer in P14. Happy Gilmore decided to go on the softs. That means he has to make another stop in this race. An interesting strategy to say the least. Adam Kev on 5 lap old means that he won't actually be able to take to the end of the race because they're just too worn. He has another stop to make in this race. So 3 drivers still to make a stop in this race. That's Adam Kev, Happy Gilmore and Big Smalls. And then in last place in P17 we have Big Boy on the medium compound of tyres. But you can see that's actually a mistake there under safety car conditions from Happy Gilmore. That is a little embarrassing, and he's on the softs. So yeah, the safety car is now in this lap. A very late call from the safety car, and this could really offset Face Pantera for the safety car restart, but we'll have to see. You can see trying to keep his hard compound tyres nice and warm, and you can see he's picked this time. It's a decent restart compared to Muffin behind, and it doesn't look like he'll be looking for a move into turn 1. That's a Red Bull looking to the inside of Hickett into turn 1, and you can see Hickett goes deep and then tries to cut it back for the second apex. They actually make contact with each other. Felix is trying to find a way past Mela, who's actually overtaken him. Charlie got a penalty there. Didn't see how much it was, but you can see Luke now on the back of Simo ahead of him, and Luke making good progress. Felix has already lost position to Mela, I should say, and he's on the mediums, so he really needs to make the most of those mediums while they're in good condition. Luke looks to the outside at this turn 10 if I'm not mistaken, and you can see it's a nice wide line there to get the best exit possible. Is either of them going to back out into this turn? You can see no, Luke really pushes Simo wide, and that forced him to cut the track there, and you have to ask, did Luke leave enough space there? I'm not sure if he did. I think he might have just, but Simo obviously went quite deep going into there. You can see Simo has to give up the position to Mela ahead as he tries to leave space on the outside, but Mela went very, very deep, and that's really compromised his line as Felix is now able to get ahead of him, and he's now actually lost 3 positions out of that, if I'm not mistaken. You can see Mela is just braking so deep, and it's not really working out for her. She's now back down in P7. You can see that's a spin there for Vertex and Ant, and that's brought out another safety car, and it's starting to become a bit of a familiar sight. You can see this could cause some carnage here as the safety car is now coming out of the pit lane. As you can see, it comes out. All of these drivers are going to have to try and avoid it. Obviously, if you touch the safety car, you'll most likely be sent to the shadow row. But it's pulled off of the racing line, and everyone can now find a way past nice and safely. Vertex is actually retired from the session, along with Happy Kilmore. I think they both retired in the pit lane, so that's interesting to see. But yeah, Face Pantera obviously passed the pit lane once the safety car was released, if I'm not mistaken, along with Muffin and I think the top 5 all passed the pit lane. But yeah, we'll have to see who is going to come into pit lane. You can see all the guys in the back have come into the pit lane for the soft compound tyres. It's going to be a bit of a stretch to take those tyres 12 laps. Obviously 2 of those laps will be under safety car conditions, but still, I don't think the softs can make it. These guys could be looking at puncture territory towards the end of the session, but obviously they're on the softs, or they're towards the back of the grid. They're not currently in points position, so they may as well send it to the end and try a bit of a different strategy, which is exactly what they're doing. So, Face Pantera now coming into the final turn. Will he be looking to go into the pit lane for a fresh set of mediums or softs? Obviously, he doesn't actually have a fresh set of mediums. He doesn't come into the pit lane. Muffin doesn't come in. Luke, biggest smalls definitely should have come in, as he still has one more stop to make in this race, unless he's really going to try and stretch those mediums. And he would be trying to take them about 20 laps, maybe more actually, in this race. But you can see no one else came into the pit lane there, so they're all happy with their strategy. This obviously helps out people like Pantera and Muffin, as it means they have to defend less laps from people like Luke and Felix behind, and it also saves a little bit of tyre wear for these guys. There isn't as much of a deficit between their tyres and Luke's, but you can see now caught up to the safety car, and the drivers behind are now going to have to try and catch up. You can see there must have been a big collision there actually, between the Haas of Veer and I think the Haas of Veer and Adam Kev actually made contact, because they both came in for front wing changes, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, tangling with each other even under the safety car. So we've actually seen a lot of mistakes under safety car conditions. You see, they all came into the pit lane for a second time. Veer went on to a fresh set of softs, just to make sure that his tyre wear was one lap better. Charlie came in for mediums, old mediums, which you can definitely take the end, but they are a bit worn, so they're past their peak. Adam came in for another set of softs to save himself a little bit of tyre wear, and came on to old hards. So yeah, interesting strategies from them to do 2 pit stops there, and to go on different tyres, each of them using softs, mediums and hards between the 4 of them. But this now means the safety car will most likely stay out one more lap, as the bottom 4 all have to catch up to the safety car queue. You can see Face Panther revving out 4th gear to try and burn some of that excess fuel, so that his car is a little lighter than the drivers behind. You can see right now we're actually going to take a look who has the fastest lap of the race. It's PAFR Luke, who has had some absolutely great pace. He didn't have the pace in qualifying. It looked like Felix had this one in the bag after his qualifying performance. 3/10 ahead of P2 and got pole position for himself. But then Luke just showing his race pace, and on a good strategy here. He's got 2 cars between himself and Felix, but Felix is on the software compound of tyres, so we'll have to see, is he going to be able to make up all of this position on his mediums. It'll be interesting to see, definitely. You can see the bottom 3 have all come into pit lane for the 3rd time in a row. Veer comes on to old softs, which makes it feel like it's a bit pointless. Adam Kebs goes on to old mediums, and Ante goes on to fresh softs. Old softs I should say. I could not tell you what these drivers are doing. That's because I have absolutely no clue. They've come into pit lane 3 times in the last 3 laps, and they're not going to have to push nice and hard to try and catch up to the car. You can see, and on old cold soft compound tires, struggling there coming out of the pit lane. They're all going to have to catch up to the safety car now, and hopefully the racing will be back underway on lap 17 with FaZe Pantera, who will be leading us away for the safety car restart. So you can see obviously the tyre compound choices here. Pantera, Muffin, Biggest Smalls and the Simo all on old tyres with Biggest Smalls on old mediums. And then we have PAFR, Luke, Felix and Mela all on semi-fresh tyres, hards, mediums and hards, with Felix on the mediums and the other two on the hards. So Felix, like I said before, he's on the ideal strategy, but he really needs to start pushing and make it work. We'll have to see if he can do just that on the safety car restart. The safety car is now called in. It's once again a bit of a late call, as you can see, coming into the final turn. But FaZe Pantera was able to get a half-decent restart the last time. Can he do it once again for this next safety car restart? You can see Muffin getting very close to the back of him, as he wants to be as close as possible for the safety car restart. And you can see Pantera's picked his time. And since Muffin was so close to Pantera, he thought it would help him, but it's actually compromised him because PAFR Luke is looking to the inside in turn 1, and he gets that move done with the fresher tyres. He just has the most grip, and he's able to get that move done and move himself up into P2. Felix on the back of the Ferrari of Simo is going to be looking to get past. He needs to get past now if he wants to try and battle it out for the win. He needs to make the most of these mediums, which means making overtakes as quickly as possible while he has his grip. And he's on 6-lap pressure tyres and the softer compound. And you know, I think with that much of a grip difference, he could definitely send it down the inside into turn 10. That's exactly what he does with the grip that he has. He sends it and he's able to make the move stick because of that extra grip. PFR Luke on the back of FaZe Pantera, and you can see into side speed chicane. Luke gets a much better exit and using the overtake buttons to try and find a way past. Turns it off quite early there. Doesn't want to absolutely burn his energy, and neither does FaZe Pantera. They're both playing a long game here. But FaZe Pantera does actually have a little more ERS than PAFR Luke. You can see Biggest Smalls actually might have made contact with that inside wall. So Felix is now looking to the outside for this back straight. And Luke is already looking for the move. He's using his overtake button, and coming into the final turn, he gets that move done. And I think FaZe Pantera should have defended that a bit harder, because Luke definitely has the pace out of anyone in this field. So Pantera is going to have to push nice and hard to keep up with him. Felix finds a way past Biggest Smalls. Sadly, he missed with the Simo. Now trying to find a way past Biggest Smalls, and he does the exact same, absolutely squeezing him out on the exit of turn 1. And now Mela, who's actually quite far back, they need to start pushing quite hard if they want to catch up to these guys. You can see FaZe Pantera really struggling for grip compared to Luke ahead. And Luke is now going to be looking to try and break the DRS to the Mercedes line. Mela gets a 3-second time penalty, and that is really going to hurt their final race result. But the gap between Pantera and Luke, 8/10, and Luke is continuing to push on. You see Luke has actually used a lot more ERS than FaZe Pantera has, so FaZe Pantera is in a better position in that sense. But Felix in P4 now, 6 cents off the back of Muffin, and once the DRS is enabled, he'll be looking to get past as quickly as possible. He needs to use his mediums and the pace that he has to catch up to Luke ahead. But I say Felix was on the ideal strategy. He was looking for the race win, but after that second safety car, he wasn't able to use the mediums while they were at their peak, and now they're a little more worn than he would have liked them to be. The Muffin braking a bit early as the Simo defending from Biggest Smalls. Biggest Smalls looking for the switchback. No, he's not. He's actually defending from Mela, who looked to the inside, wasn't able to make that move. Felix sets a fast stop with Grand Prix, so there's definitely still some life left in those medium compound tyres. He dives down the inside into turn 1 and 2 and gets the move done. DRS is now enabled. We have just 7 laps to go, so Felix really needs to push nice and hard here to get the DRS of Luke ahead, because once we start getting towards the end of the race, Luke is going to have more grip than Felix behind. FaZe Pantera looking good for a podium at this stage of the race, but he's going to be under a little bit of pressure from Muffin behind. We'll have to see how that all plays out. You can see that's a bad exit there for Biggest Smalls, who goes off track and Mela could capitalise off this. She sends it down the inside, leaving Figure Smalls no space there at all, and a bit of a wheel bump in between the two drivers. Not the cleanest, but gets the move done nonetheless. P6 for Mela. And you can see Felix now on the back of PAFR Luke. We're going to try and focus on this battle for the rest of the race, because it is the battle for the race win here in round 2. The Alfa Romeo getting nice and close to the back of Luke, and DRS wide open now that it is enabled. He looks to the outside line, and with the power of the medium tyres, he's using them while he can. Looks to the outside at this final turn. Luke goes deep, and Felix just makes an absolutely lovely switch back there. Luke just defending too hard, went too deep, and doing a bit of a Max Verstappen there in the Red Bull, and Felix being Charles Leclerc, and he manages to get past with that switchback move. And actually, just to add insult to injury, I think he actually had DRS for the pit straight as well, because the detection point is just before the final turn. So Felix played that one very nicely, and let's see if he can try and break DRS to Luke, because that would definitely be the best play for him right now. You can see FaZe Pantera actually gets himself a 3-second time penalty, so that's a big mistake from him, because it now looks like Muffin in the Aston Martin will be getting the podium in this race. Hickett, who boxed again for soft compound tyres. It's a fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but he is down in P15, so we won't be getting that fast lap point. The Simo, even though he's on 15 lap old hard compound tyres, dives down the inside of Mela and just returns the favour a bit. Or no, I think Mela did that to Figure Small, so no. You can see a lot of drivers being very aggressive into turn 10, not really leaving much space. But you can see Mela, with the power of the DRS, is now looking to get the move done. She actually does before the braking zone. So Mela moving themselves up into P5. You can see Felix has broken the DRS to PAFR Luke. So it's a bit of a ding-dong battle between those two. I thought it was Felix at first after that second safety car. Then I thought it was Luke, and now I think it's Felix again. But his tyres are going to drop off towards the end of the race, so could it be Luke? But Luke is under pressure from FaZe Pantera, who looks to the inside. Luke's red light is flashing. Pantera's 60% ERS, really managing his race very nicely right now, and moves themselves up into P2. He's going to push on, try and catch up to Felix, and if Pantera didn't get that 3-second time penalty, he could even be looking at a race win, but because of that penalty, he will be falling all the way back to P4 unless he tries to break a gap to the driver's behind. You can see there, that's a mistake, and Muffin actually gets a 3-second time penalty, so Pantera still could be looking at a podium position. He just needs to keep himself ahead of Muffin. So if he can do that, he will be able to get a podium in this race, and PAFR Luke is almost guaranteed a P2 at the stage, so long as he doesn't make any silly mistakes. But it looks like Felix is really pulling away with just 4.5 laps of racing to go, and his tyres really need to drop off if Luke wants any chances. But you can see he's pushing nice and hard. He's broken a 2.1 second gap to the guys behind. That's a yellow flag in the middle sector, and that is for Big Boy in McLaren, who's fallen all the way down to P14 now, and not looking like he's going to be getting any points this race. And on the back of Veer, they're both on old soft tyres, which have definitely fallen off a cliff at this stage of the race, so they've got absolutely no grip at this stage, and this is allowing Charlie to try and get into the battle. You can see Anta goes quite deep into that final turn. Charlie tries to go for the switchback using the power of the ERS. Is he going to be able to actually make a double overtake here? I think he is, as he just goes sailing around the outside of both of them. Veer trying to defend from Ant, but concedes that position. You can see Muffin has now gotten ahead of FaZe Pantera. That might have been a mistake because he's lost 2 positions in the middle sector. The safety car has been released, and it will be coming in at the end of lap 23, as the safety car cannot be out on the final 2 laps. So this is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't expect anyone to come into the pit lane, but this is now really hurt Muffin and FaZe Pantera, who both have penalties. This could allow someone like the Simo or Figure Smalls even, who really has stretched those medium compound tyres, to possibly get a podium in this race. But we'll have to see, as yeah, I'm not too sure actually if this has hurt or been an advantage to Felix, who's now on 11 lap old medium compound tyres. In PAFR Luke on 11 lap old tyres, so it means will have dropped off quite a bit more. We saw he had some decent pace with them, and he's ran a lot of laps under safety car with his movement, so maybe they just have enough light to defend from the hard runner of Luke Byrne. I don't expect anyone to come into the pit lane here, as it would lose you. Well, never mind then. I was going to say it would lose you way too much track position, and for just 2 laps of racing, it is clearly not worth it. But Felix has gone against me, and everyone else hasn't. So this is a bit of a strategy blunder from Felix here, because the only way that this strategy would have worked was if everyone else came into the pit lane for soft compound tyres, but no one else did. He now has to make up 6 positions in 2 laps without DRS, and the only advantage that he has is 18 lap pressure soft compound tyres, and he's going to have so much more grip. But will that matter at all? Because it's great having a load of grip, but at the end of the day, there's only so many overtaking opportunities within the lap. So is there 3 overtaking opportunities? Is there 3 of them in the lap? Because Felix now needs to make 3 per lap for the next 2 laps. So you see everyone else behind him came in for the soft compound of tyres, but it's the top 6 all on the hard and medium compound tyres. So Felix is almost guaranteed a P2 in this race. He just needs to get past Simo and Herbina, but and then everyone else ahead of him has those time penalties, but he then needs to find his way past those drivers and make his way on the back of Luke if he wants to win this race. So it's going to be a bit of a task for Felix behind, but we'll have to see if he's going to be able to do it all the way down in P7 in the grid. And obviously with these guys on the hards, they're not going to have a lot of grips in the turns, but then for the straights, they're going to have 100% ERS, which they can absolutely use to stay ahead of Felix. 6 guys in this lap, as I predicted at the end of lap 23, because it cannot stay out for the final 2 laps. So we're going to ride on board with PAFR Luke to see when he picks his time to go for the safety car restart. You see using first gear to try and burn the fuel, but now coming into the final turn, he's actually turned on his overtake button. Probably not the best move because it's really going to hurt his traction, but still gets a decent restart compared to the drivers behind. You can see Pace Pantera already putting pressure on Muffin ahead of him, and that is, I'm not sure what position that's for because of all the time penalties, and it looks like Felix is already starting to make moves into turn 1, trying to make the move on Hervina. Gets that done with the power of the fresh soft compound tires. That's a mistake there from Paris Tire, who falls all the way down to P15. Felix now needs to find his way past Simo as quickly as possible on the soft compound tires. Looks to the outside, he's trying to find a way past because he just has so much more grip, but not going to have too many overtaking opportunities. That's FRL Charlie and Big Boy both out of the session in the middle sector. Both McLarens retiring from the session, and Felix is going to dive down to the inside, but you can see that's a lot of moving from the racing line from the Simo. Not the greatest defense there, but or not the cleanest, I should say, because it has worked. But yeah, you can see Felix on the back of Simo. He really needs to push now to try and get ahead, but that Simo's not making it easy for him. We're going to ride on board with Felix to try and well, let's see if he can find a way past. He looks to the inside and Simo just drifts off his line, but since he's on the whole parts, just completely goes wide and Felix finds a way past. He's now got 4 more cars to overtake, but he's only got 1 lap to do it, and you really have to ask yourself, was this the right strategy from Felix? He's currently in a net P2, but he's quite a way off of the race lead, so he's going to have to be pushing to the absolute maximum. He's got 40% ERS for this final lap, and I don't think he's going to be able to get ahead of these guys unless by some miracle he's able to overtake at any turn pretty much. So we'll have to see, is this grip of the soft tyres gonna be enough? I don't think it will be, but we'll have to find out. You can see Luke hasn't broken a second gap to face Pantera, so he's not too far off from Felix, but Felix is really going to have to pull out something special. You can see we've had 4 retirements on these final 2 laps. Figure Smalls pulled into the pit lane to retire from the session. Veer retired, Big Boy, FRL Charlie all retiring on the last lap. And you see Felix on the back of Mela now. I don't think he can do it. I've said it many times before. Maybe he can though. It doesn't look to the inside there. He's really needed to send it there. He has to make these moves at any opportunity. He uses the overtake now. Mela just letting him through. Doesn't need to fight that. Doesn't want to fight that. As there's pretty much no point in fighting that. You can see Muffin trying to find a way past Face Pantera. That is the battle between those two for a position. And we'll have to see who comes out on top. You can see red light flashing for Muffin, but so is the red light flashing for Felix behind. Felix looks to the outside at this final turn, and Muffin defending that inside line squeezes Felix to the outside, but leaves enough room. You can see Felix isn't able to make up the positions he needed to, and that means that PAFR Luke is going to come across the line to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. P1 for the Red Bull driver, with Felix finishing P2 after an interesting last lap strategy. So sadly wasn't able to get that win. I definitely think he could have gotten the win if he'd stayed out on the greens, but he was willing to risk it all, and sadly did not work out for him. And we'll have to see where everyone else finishes. Freestyle made up the most positions today. We'll have to see exactly how many that was, but there you go. There's your race winner, PAFR Luke for Red Bull. He's going to be standing on the top step of the podium, with the Alfa Romeo driver of Felix beside him, and FaZe Pantera finishing on the final spot of the podium. So there you go. That is going to be your podium for this round 2 of PAFR Division 1. And quite an exciting race. Plenty of safety cars to spice up the strategy. But there's your podium. Luke in P1. Felix just a second off in P2. FaZe Pantera finishes P3, with the Simo just 2/10 behind, getting that podium position. Obviously had no penalties. Hervina manages to take P5, so a decent result for Mercedes. Muffin in the Aston Martin finishes P6, just 3/10 off of Hervina. Hervina actually finished just 1/10 off of the Simo, so quite close gaps here. Mela finishes P7, Hickut in P8, but with the fastest lap point. Freestyler moving from P15 to P9, 6 positions gained in this race, and in P10, and that is going to finish off the points finishers. I hope you did enjoy that Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and this round 2 of PAFR's Division 1. Obviously my first time commentating for Division 1, and it was quite an exciting race, and I definitely did enjoy that one, and it was great race pace from Luke throughout, and Felix was really able to bring it back on those medium tires, but then at the end of the race deciding to go onto the softs, which sadly just did not work out for him. But like I said, hope you enjoyed it. I definitely did, and I hope to see you all next week, either for Division 1 or Division 2, wherever I am. So I'll see you all next week.